Hello community, my name's Paul Mills from Raptoreum Core, and here we have Hunter Schultz, who is the general badass of Raptoreum. Is that right, Hunter?
Need a new title, yeah. Hi, I'm the general badass now.
And we welcome you to this week's episode of Raptor Chain Reaction, where we are talking about how we can get Raptoreum into the hands of creators, be it through mining or integration into creation development software. Is that right, Hunter?
Yes, and much more.
And much more.
And it's a big market. As we've been plowing through the IP protection angle to Raptoreum, and we've talked about this in previous shows, the amount of creators out there is astounding. And I've got my handy notes here. There on Spotify alone, there are over 8 million artists, and then there are tens of millions more in what you would call the amateur space. They're not on Spotify, but they're putting music out there on YouTube or whatever. And then you have photographers and you have video people, and they have their work, and there are millions of professionals globally doing that. And then you've got potentially billions engaging in this with their smartphones alone. I mean, this is a huge deal. Again, not all of them are going to be professional and want to make money with it. But you're going to get people who will use our network to protect their IP, and then ultimately, when the marketplaces are going full blast, they'll be able to sell their work. And it's a whole new game. Then there are the digital content creators. And there are 50 million creators actively monetizing their work right now. Some of them are doing it without the help of, let's say, YouTube monetizing their YouTube channels. You need 1,000 subscribers and you need 4,000 hours. If you don't have the 4,000 hours, but people love your work, we're going to give you a way of monetizing those assets. The total, apparently, that the figure is, let's just call it 300 million content creators who could potentially be making money, potentially. And you have roughly 50 million that are making something. Obviously, not everyone is successful as, big name artists. But let's cut that down in half, 25 million. Hell, let's just cut it down even further, 2 million. And when you start looking at the metrics of this, if I'm an album creator, and we've got a video coming up on this, if I create albums, 10-song album, it's 1,200 Raptoreum to protect it and create the assets. Each song is a sub-asset. That's not a lot of money for creators.
No.
But if you do the math, if I'm a creator and I've got 10 albums, 8 albums, to give you an idea of what that'll do for the network, we have a little over 2,500 assets right now that have been created just because people have been wanting to try it out. I think it was during one of those rushes when assets went live, one of my nodes, which is again like a merchant processor in the Visa MasterCard network, one of my nodes, which normally pays out 814, paid out almost 1,100 on that one because of all the assets being created. And my node was lucky enough to get that, and others have gotten way more. I think I read someone got something like 4,000 Raptoreum on one node payment, something like that. Yeah, it was kind of astounding, but it was a lot.
Yeah,
we have a total of 2,500. Let's do the math here. I mean, come on, you're talking millions of transactions. Oh my goodness, it's a huge market. So the question, Paul, for us as a community, I think, and extending to creators, we want to help you, protect your assets right now, protect your IP, which we can do better than any other blockchain in the world. Then it's getting it ready to monetize it and being able to use what's coming in the future with Raptoreum. First of all, you have to have the Raptoreum in order to do the assets. So let's explore some of the ways for our community, our extended community, to address this need, because the need is there and it's a huge need. There's a lot of money to be made. So Paul, over to you. How do you address it?
So one of the cool things with Raptoreum is it was initially created so anyone who had a PC with a CPU that was, just a normal CPU could actually acquire some Raptoreum coins fairly easily. We have a team member called Jamadis who's created a piece of software called Raptor Wings, and literally within a couple of clicks you can use the power of your processor while you are doing something else like creating or cutting video or whatever you want to do in the background to actually acquire some Raptoreum coins. And this is because unlike Bitcoin, where there's like 21 million max supply of that coin, Raptoreum has 21 billion max supply, which means that there's a lot more single coins actually distributed per block. And this means that it's a lot more accessible to the everyday person to actually acquire some of these coins, and it doesn't create that much it's not that much effort to actually create enough coins in order to actually mint an asset or create an asset on the Raptoreum network for any creators out there. Another thing is we have such a good community, particularly at our Discord and at our Telegram channels, whether you're Russian, Spanish, English, whatever. We have community members that are willing to help out and get you set up very quickly to take that pain point away from actually thinking about doing it to actually doing it. So by all means join our community and we'll help you out with whatever. We do have some guides and tutorials as well if you would like to dip both toes into acquiring coins, be it through mining or through our distributed node system, where you can actually mine a few coins and then put them in a shared node to actually earn additional rewards from them. And you might find yourself able to create a lot more assets that way. There is other ways to actually get Raptoreum as well, and that is through the exchanges that Raptoreum is currently available on. So if you are fluent with exchanges, you can transfer from your card on CoinX to a USDT balance or a USD balance, and then you can transfer that to Raptoreum and then transfer the Raptoreum back to your wallet so you can actually mint those assets. Another thing that me and Hunter were talking about earlier is maybe like a small $5 limit swap as an OTC in the community Discord, which might help creators acquire those coins fairly cheap. Something that could help creators in the long run is having the ability to create assets with a special type of wallet that's connected to their development or their video editing software. So when the file is saved, you could actually tie it into an asset there and then at point of creation. So we could have an extension that connects to something like Davinci Resolve, if that's what you're using, or
tools,
or Pro Tools or something like that. So then the asset, which is something you need to protect there and then at that point in time, is then easily added to that, added to a Raptoreum asset, which has a timestamp on it, which has the metadata connected to it, like who you are, what your name is, what the name of the piece of the art is, be it whether it's art or music or video content or something like that. And then that asset would be in a position where it would actually stand up in court, and you'd be able to fight your corner on the internet when disputes arise, because the proof is there right in the pudding at the time of the creation.
Can't get any faster than that.
Exactly.
I mean,
I mean,
that is,
this can be done.
yeah.
There are extensions already that
Mhm.
you can get for these creation software, and a lot of these extensions right now tend to be uh, things that add effects to it, or things that sort of improve the creative aspect of whatever you're creating. But that's not to say that we couldn't have a custom extension that did something entirely different, and actually tied assets up into the things that you were creating. So if you are watching and you are a developer out there, this is something that you could actually you could actually gain from. Maybe charge a little fee on the top, 1 RTM or something, and help creators mint these assets and protect their work and their IP.
Absolutely. The other thing is when you mention the swap, the OTC channel, essentially what you're doing are market makers. We're creating market makers. And the idea there is pretty powerful. I don't think that'll last forever because there are on-ramps in the planning stages, but for a while it's going to be a good, almost a no-brainer business. And it's not going to create anything untoward because you're not dealing with a lot of money. I mean, you're dealing with $5-10 max and nothing more. So the community would know point blank, anything over $10, forget it. That's not what we're here for. That could be the simplest route, and someone's going to do pretty well on that.
Yeah.
And artists, it's a good trade-off for the artist, because then the artist doesn't have the uptake of figuring out mining or whatever. Figuring out an exchange. They're just not comfortable with it. They're willing to pay something, and it's not a lot. So, if you've got a client base of, I don't know, 100 artists or 1,000 artists, and every 2 months they come back and they need more Raptoreum, I mean, you could be doing a pretty good business. So from a market maker perspective, that I think is a good way of getting Raptoreum in the hands of people. And if you are that market maker and you're mining as well as you're going on CoinEx or whatever exchange, the new exchange, was it bit.com?
Bit.com, yeah.
Bit.com. So there's that. If you're in the Asian markets, CoinEx. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities springing up around this, but this big market is mind-blowing. And for Raptoreum, it's even bigger because you'll run the music industry on Raptoreum.
Yeah.
Because you streamlined everything, licensing, metadata, you name it. You're going to streamline everything, cross-border payments, copyright protection. It's astounding what Raptoreum can do. And that's why, and it's unique. And then the reason why you can do all this is because it's unique.
Yeah.
But for right now, we can do this. This is not hard. And that's what our Raptor chain reaction videos are about. It's not $1 billion idea in this sense, but it is pretty big. The market makers, and then what you could do as a developer with Davinci Resolve and Pro Tools.
So if you are a creator and you want to hop on board, there are, obviously we've explained, there are a few options. You could do mining. We could create software that interacted with your actual point of creation. We actually did another Raptor chain reaction where we were talking about tokenizing the individual pieces of a song, like the beat and things like that, which also solve licensing issues. There's so much Raptoreum can actually offer, and there's so much that it can offer where it protects your IP and it stands up in court. And Hunter's already done his homework in terms of Raptoreum assets and protecting the IP. And it's Raptoreum ticks all the boxes for something like that, for a dispute like that. So
it prevents problems.
Prevents problems. That's right.
Man.
And one thing that we haven't touched upon as well is while other blockchains may actually suggest that it's a good environment for creators to place their work on, one thing that they don't tell you is the way their network is deployed and the security implications that come along with that. And because on Raptoreum, all our assets are on the protocol layer, which means they are backed by the encryption of the blockchain. And on a lot of these other blockchains, they are actually backed by the third party smart contract that has created that asset. And we have seen in the past there has been so many exploits and so many issues with some of these other blockchains that, you know, if you're in any right mind, you would not risk your creative assets that you've put a lot of time into on something that is something that is prone to exploits and things like that. So this is another reason why Raptoreum is definitely a good option for creators to create and join their content onto, and also for developers to look into the actual blockchain itself and think about developing solutions that can enable creators to build and to connect to the Raptoreum network as well, and also where developers can actually make some money in that process as well. As Hunter said, our job here is to provide some inspiration and to provide some food for thought in terms of what use cases are possible on the Raptoreum blockchain, and encourage others to see what we see, and to build on something that's worthwhile, and something that can really complement the future. So I just want to say a big thank you to you all for tuning into this week's Raptor Chain Reaction. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here. It's also good to be back for our first Raptor Chain Reaction video in 2025. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
And we are really excited for what's coming in 2025 for Raptoreum. As you can see, we are still here working hard. We are, not phased by anything in the world. We are pushing Raptoreum to where it deserves to be. A stepping stone at a time, and we aim to make this blockchain, or take this blockchain where it deserves to be.
So, Paul, I think it's time for, and there you are.
And there we are. If you have not already followed us at X, please do. That is at Raptoreum. We're also on Instagram, and we're also on Threads as well. You can also follow us on TikTok. That's at official Raptoreum. You are watching a video of me and Hunter on this channel. So if you could click a like at the bottom as well, it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And click the subscribe button as well. Yeah. To be kept up to date with any more Raptor Chain Reaction videos, or Raptoreum weekly updates, or CryptoSmith videos, or Raptoreum guides, or even billion-dollar ideas.
Yep, we've done those. Tunium. Related to this. Tunium. It's there.
Go check that out, guys. If you want to see Tunium, check the videos tab.
We're going to have links in the description, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
To things we've mentioned. Yes.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. And we'll be back next week for another Raptor Chain Reaction video. And if you are around on Sundays, then please check our weekly updates as well. You get a lot more information about the Raptoreum blockchain right there. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thanks.